everybody. I think we'll get started today. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and Happy New Year. I think we're still within a boundary that's acceptable to say. So hope that the new year is treating everybody well. We're excited today to speak to you about CPG. And myself, Eric Carlson, I'm the VP of Platform Sales, and also joined by Rachel, who is our VP of CPG as well. So we're excited to take you through some top line. We're going to start with some industry information that we've come across. And Rachel, are you able to share your screen? Oh, perfect. Yep. Um, First, we'll get to some housekeeping rules. Always important to have those. So we'll jump ahead to the next slide. Perfect. Um, so that's us, Eric and Rachel, and we're excited to be with you today. If you can jump to the next slide, Rachel, and we'll just go over some quick housekeeping. Great. So all participants are muted when you sign on. We are recording this, so a recording and the slides will all be sent to all attendees and registrants after the webinar itself. You can submit questions as well. There's the Q&A button that you'll find, and you can use that to submit questions, and we've saved time at the end to go through a Q&A section. And also, too, if there are questions that you think of later or additional information that you would like, some of you may already have contacts at GroundTruth that you could reach out to, or you can also use our ad expert at groundtruth.com and use that to submit any questions or ask for any assistance that you need or would like to have. And also too, there'll be a survey at the end. We always appreciate your feedback just about both the content that we're sharing today to get your feedback on that, but also these are webinars that we do on a regular basis. So any input from you in terms of what you'd like to hear more about and additional information we can provide, we always love to get that feedback as well. So we can get started. We're going to first talk about some trends that we've seen. We've done some research in the marketplace just to see what CPG trends there are for 2021. Get into some more specifics about GroundTruth as a whole. And then also, how can you reach customers? Within GroundTruth, there are two different ways that you can use GroundTruth. We have a self-serve platform, and also we have a managed service team as well. So we'll get into some more details on how each of the elements that we speak to can be utilized and applied both either in a self-serve and or a managed service function. And at the end, we're going to talk about a balanced strategy as well, about how you could actually deploy both. I'm glad to see someone edited this. We had initially tried to come up with a fun joint word. We'd called it plattaged, which was balanced strategy sounds better. So I'm glad that we've changed that. So we'll jump ahead and start talking about 2021 and consumer trends and just some things that we've seen outside of GroundTruth, but through some third-party research that we've taken a look at. So first things, digital first is smartphones. This is a source called Hanger 12, that smartphones, as we know, are going to be a primary tool for making purchases in 2021. And also CPG e-commerce sales, not just e-commerce sales, but CPG e-commerce sales are estimated to be over $720 billion in 2021. Something to be mindful of too when marketing are customer demographics and just how demographics continue to shift as well. So certainly multicultural, but also to be mindful, the Hispanic population in the US is now 60 million plus and continuing to grow. Also within that are when you think of consumer life stages, when you're marketing to individuals too. So millennials, and I always do this, I always need to put what that is defined as because I never remember, but it's age 24 to 39. It has become the largest generation in the US workforce. But what's really interesting is that, and I guess it makes sense with the trend, is that the dollar share for CPG among millennials is going to go from what was 17% in 2018 to 29% in 2021. So certainly an important group to be marketing to and mindful of when marketing. You can jump ahead to the next slide. Some other information too that we found, this is from the Future of Customer Engagement and Commerce. But first, brands have to work hard now to win that digital shelf. So part of that is finding new audiences online and increasing the use of personalization and promotions, things that are going to stand out, connect with consumers, because more and more now with COVID, that digital shelf is going to be more competitive. So it's about finding new audiences, understanding your brand's audiences, different nuances of those, and elements that you can use to connect with the right person and the right customer. Traditional CPG learns from upstart DTC brands, direct to consumer brands. A good example of that is the Dollar Shave Club, who really upended the entire shaving industry when they went strictly direct to consumer with as a digital native brand. So keeping that in mind as well. And many brands, large and small, are now using direct to consumer strategies to stay competitive. So not just about the retailer anymore, it's about direct to consumer as well, in conjunction with that. The bigger customer experience. It's really important now more than ever to have a good customer experience online. When people are on your website and when you've driven them there, to have a positive experience that will see them through all the way through that purchase funnel. And then also establishing contact centers, helping people learning and also for you to learn and understand the entire customer journey. When you understand that customer journey that you're sending people on, it's going to help you in terms of marketing and also just make that a more pleasant journey to drive sales at the same time. And then, of course, now what we're dealing with as well is delivery and just tackling delivery. There's the new normal of delivery and being mindful of that and how that's going to be executed for your brands. Curbside pickup, of course, BOPIS, which flows right off the tongue, but that buy online, pick up in store. So these are now new, and these are trends that are likely going to be with us for quite some time. And we'll show you too how GroundTruth has actually used our technology to provide audiences around some of these specific delivery options as well. And then also, according to a Deloitte study that was done, 50% plus of consumers are actually willing to spend more for convenience. So think of that too when it comes to messaging, and what you want customers and consumers to know about is that when the convenience that you're providing for them, for their individual safety and for your brand. You can jump ahead. So now Rachel is going to walk through and talk about some of the specifics about GroundTruth as a whole.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Doing a sound check, making sure that you can hear. Are we good, Eric?
Yes.
We had some fun technical difficulties at first. So thank you, everyone, for joining. We're super excited that you're here. And the insights that Eric just shared, we are sure are probably not a surprise to you. With COVID last year, it became challenging for brands to connect to their shoppers in all of the chaos, to really break through, especially for those new brands. On a digital shelf, if shoppers weren't used to seeing your brand and then now you're suddenly introducing it during a pandemic, it's challenging. So we hope today that as we share a little bit more about our technology and solutions that we can offer to partner with you, that you can get excited that there are real solutions out there that are driving performance. So with that, I'll say GroundTruth is the leading location-based marketing and advertising technology company. We use our proprietary blueprints, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit, along with predictive targeting products. And GroundTruth is able to precisely reach mobile users in the real world and influence business performance. And so you'll see that through our real-time tactics that it's not based on where that shopper may have went months ago. It really, truly is looking at shopper in real time and to the insights that Eric talked about. You know, what is that path to purchase journey and how can you reach them all along that? So here's a little bit deeper dive into our technology. It really takes three things to be a top performer in this space, and that would be place, location, and tracking the visitation. So what we mean by that is with our technology, what we do is polygon a specific area where we see a high density of mobile usage. And so on your right-hand side here, you might see, let's call this a Walmart. And once we see that, our engineers go in and finite those walls of that blueprint so that we know precisely what separates the retail space from the retail area or the parking lot. And once you've determined that place and that location, then you really want to be able to finite that cell phone signal, verify it, and track it to be able to know, are they in the building, are they in the parking lot, or are they somewhere on that retail block? And when you can do that well, you can alter your message to really speak to shopper all along that path to purchase, and even goes beyond these blueprints, as you'll see in some of our tactics as we share. And talking about accuracy. So I know that you look at these pictures and you're like, Rachel, how accurate can this possibly be? I've called for an Uber and it shows up that I'm 2 blocks away. So to answer your question of that, we can get extremely accurate. And in fact, we are the only location provider that has a third-party audit run on us yearly to validate the accuracy that we have. And this year, we're proud to say that we came back at 96.2% accurate, meaning that for the other 4% of the time, they couldn't match a receipt data to that visit when we recorded the visit. But for 96% of the time, they were able to actually match with their panel from Info Scout or Numerator that the visit that we reported did happen and the receipt happened at that same time. So that's very, very accurate when you're talking about this type of a product. So speaking of products and tactics, these are the different ways that we're going to be able to reach the shopper. So we've talked a little bit about location targeting. If you are a brand and you want to make sure that you're targeting only the known shoppers of specific retailers, may it be a Target, a Safeway, a Kroger, the location targeting really helps us know who are the shoppers of those stores. It helps us understand the proximity, the on-premise, and even residential. Where are these people coming from? And that high density area of a neighborhood that would correlate to the shoppers of that store. Then you've got audience targeting. Because we have all of these location signals, we can really study the true pattern of these shoppers, and we can start to bucket them into audiences. This is probably one of my favorite things, because as a mom of 3, I want to see ads that are relevant to me and my family. My children are 10, 9, and 8, and so I don't want to see a diaper ad because that's not relevant to where the life stage is of my family. And so with our audience targeting, we can segment and know some of these things based on where they're going. If you have a younger or a newer mom, you might see them at baby stores. You might see them at daycares and play centers and things like that. If you have a mom here who's between 21 and 40 years of age, she might be stopping at a Gymboree or a Target. She might go to a public school. By using all of this location data, we have thousands of audiences that you can choose from that are going to be relevant to the brand of the shopper that you really want to try and reach. And then we also have weather triggering. And this is where it really makes it interesting too. If you have insights on your brand that maybe consumption increases once that temperature hits a certain point, or when it's a sunny day outside and you have a pet product and you know that it's more than likely that those shoppers are going to go outside with their pets, and you want to target them with a message about your product that maybe is a dog treat or something like that. Weather triggering can be really beneficial when layering into these types of targeting. So drilling down just even a little bit further is location targeting, looking at not just the proximity, which is kind of your old-fashioned geofencing, but really fine-tuning with our blueprints, whether they're on-premise or are with our neighborhoods targeting, understanding which neighborhood they came from and how can we learn from those types of things. So with all 3 of these, you've got winning tactics to be able to reach your shopper at the right moment. And back to the audience targeting. So we shared just a little bit about how each of these different types of shoppers are segments that you can choose that are going to be relevant to your brand based on the insights that you have. But on the flip side, if you don't have any insights and you're really unsure about which audiences are performing best, then our team of experts are going to help select several audiences that might be relevant that you can test during your campaign. It's going to be location, behavioral, and even custom targeting, where with custom, we can even layer in purchase-based targeting. So if you want to make sure that you're really starting to steal share from your competitor, then we can create those custom audiences for you that get right down to targeting purchasers of those that are already in your category. So that you can effectively target them with your ads and drive performance. We talked about third-party audience, and we're going to go a little bit further into that later, but we've got lots of different partners that we partner with to be able to prove the performance from the campaigns that we're running with you. And then landing pages. If you're on the self-serve platform, you can create custom landing pages that your shoppers are going to be able to know exactly where they can go to get XYZ product that you're advertising, or how far away in dynamic distance in real time that they are from this store to be able to go pick up the product. And this really, truly does drive increased consumption and demand for your product. This is one of our foot traffic trackers. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Eric, and he's going to talk just a little bit more about the foot traffic tracker.
Thanks, Rachel. If you could bounce back really quick to the landing page template, the previous slide. Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to point out here that, yeah, as Rachel mentioned, this is a tool that can actually be used in the platform itself. Easy to customize however you want. The value of this, several things. One is that for directions, for example, you can actually click, if you have multiple locations that you're looking to drive visits to, it will default to the closest location where somebody is at that moment when they hit directions, for example. But also any action taken on here is called a secondary action and is reported in your dashboard as well. Okay, great, Rachel. If we can jump ahead. So what we've done with, oops, back up to the COVID tracker. Thank you. So as Rachel pointed out, in terms of our technology, there are several different things that we've done with our technology now during COVID. One of them is a tool that any one of you can use, and that's our foot traffic tracker. And it's on our website. You can go to our website, you can put in just your email address, you'll get a password, and then you're gonna have access to this tool. And it's really robust and can be used in many ways that you choose in terms of getting information. So one is length of time. It goes back to January of last year, of 2020, as a reference point. We have at least 10 different verticals that we're tracking in. So DIY, for example, restaurants, things like that, liquor stores, etc. And then you can also fine tune it by zip code, different elements of geography, time frame, if you only want to look at the last 2 months. So really easy to customize based on the kind of information that you're looking for, and just a great tool that you can use at any time. And like I said, it's right on our platform. It's right at groundtruth.com, where you can just have access to this, and it's continually updated. So we've continued and will continue to do so. So you'll be able to see the trends in different geography and also by different vertical, the foot traffic patterns that are happening. Great. The other way that we've used our technology then too is to build audiences that you can use to target. The first of those are our shelter-in-place audiences. So it's about identifying devices that have high movement, moderate movement, and low movement. And with those, you can find different ways to target. High movement are going to be people who are going to the stores themselves. Moderate and lower movement are going to be people that, maybe moderate movement are people that are actually going to do the pickup at the location itself, and low movement have delivery at home. So you can use any of these audiences. They're available on the platform to target strategically based on how you want to target certain audiences and also based on the brands themselves. You could jump ahead to the next one. And then the other way that we've used this is that we talked about how there are pickup zones now at retailers. This is an example of Target, for example, of a Target location. You'll see the green square. This is an area, so we blueprinted. We took our technology and we blueprinted because that's identified as the pickup zone for people that have ordered online and have now showing to pick up. So we are capturing those audiences, and we have for multiple retailers. It's not just the larger ones, it's many retailers, and we can provide the list to you of all the different retailers that we've already done this, and we're capturing the devices there, and you can specifically target the audiences that are going to these pickup locations at various retailers. So another just a strong way of targeting that we've used the platform for. So again, using for the COVID tracker, for the shelter in place, the different types of movement that audiences are doing, and then also the using the pickup zones that you can utilize as well. So a tool to use for research and identify, but then also ways that you can target within the platform or with GroundTruth as a whole. So speaking of targeting, there are different ways that you can work with GroundTruth. And as I mentioned at the top, we have our managed service team, and then there's also a self-service platform. So you can use either one. You can, and we'll get into a little bit more detail here in a second. There's also, for reporting, for example, we can integrate with various platforms for your reporting needs. Example, TapClicks is a popular one that we're integrated with. But so just know that all of the different targeting tactics and elements that Rachel had mentioned and that I've mentioned are available either through self-service or managed service. And we're going to get into a little bit of the nuances of each just to demonstrate what else you can get to with managed service, for example. So Rachel, if we could click to the next one. So when you're using the platform itself, so this is the self-serve platform, you can go onto the website and you can just sign up for an account. What that's going to do is trigger that your contact, once you've signed up for an account, you're going to be assigned to somebody on the team who will reach out and can do a walkthrough. It's really up to you. You can just jump in and start using it, or you can also have someone walk you through the targeting parameters, how to find the different audiences that we've mentioned, things like that. This is one of the first pages that you'll come to when you're just asked if you want to target by location, target by audience, or target by weather, for example. So different ways that we can do that. Now, one of the values too of GroundTruth is that we are now true cross-device. So we have CTV, OTT, desktop, and mobile. With those, and some of the key differentiators are, you can use our first party audiences, like Rachel was describing, to target on CTV, on OTT, desktop, and mobile. And then we can also track visits based off of exposure to those ads. And we can provide any additional information if anyone wants some more on that. And if you could just jump to the next slide. So just to show again, when you're in the platform itself, if you're on the self-serve platform, you'll see that you will then have the option, what device do I want to use? What channel am I going to use to start creating a campaign for? So that's that's just a quick top line in terms of once to get started on the self-serve platform itself. And then Rachel's going to take a deeper dive into the different ways that you can use managed service when it comes to really driving and measuring performance as a whole.
Perfect. Thanks, Eric. I love that you have both of these options, because if you have a highly specialized digital team that has capacity to run their own campaigns, then GroundTruth has that. You've got your self-serve platform that they can be hands-on keyboard and do everything that Eric was mentioning. But if you run on a nimble team, or your team can't allocate any time towards running a campaign, then we do have the white glove service. This is your managed service, and this is really performance-based digital solution. And I'm going to go into a little bit more about how and when you might utilize something like a managed service. So talking about best-in-class ways of working with GroundTruth, these are all some of the ways that we're working with our clients today. If they have an in-store activation, if you have an end cap, a sidekick, or a pallet, and you know you need to have maximum sell-through of those, then it's best to tack on digital media with GroundTruth so that we can give you the maximum awareness and reach of the shoppers that you're trying to reach so that you have sell-through. If you have a sales lift that you're needing in a specified number of stores, maybe you have 500 top performing stores, 500 kind of mid-tier stores, and 500 low performing stores, and you want to see if you can't get those mid-tier into a velocity rate that's equal to your top tier, that might be a great time to use our highly specialized CPG team for a managed program. If you have a multi-product awareness, which being here in Bentonville, Arkansas, close to Walmart's home office, I know Walmart is huge on cross-category collaboration. So if you have a partnership and you're trying to promote maybe multiple products that are in different categories, this is a great time that you can utilize GroundTruth, because we can have specific call out on the creative that tells you where to find your products and what category. And then also for new product launches. This is for new product launches or even new brand launches. It's like Eric mentioned, it's really hard to get your eye on that digital shelf when your product hasn't been seen in store for a while. And so with our ads, we can reach them with shoppable ads, or we can reach them with our drive to store ads, which tell them exactly where to go pick up your product and at which store. And then in-store retail payment. I know this was a pastime before the pandemic, but someday if we get back to retail payment, even if it's outdoors, then this is a great time to prove ROI. We can tell you how many shoppers went into the blueprinted area of where your retail payment was taking place. We can then see if those shoppers went into store, and through test and control, you can then look at your sales and see what was the ROI or performance of the retail payment that you had. And having attribution, you and I both know, is everything in these types of programs when you're going to invest. The strategic tactics that we want to really help partner with you, and our specialized team is going to be able to help with this, is really reaching the shopper at the right moment. So we've got list building moments, which is where we would utilize our neighborhoods technology. And that is where shopper is at home. They're most likely creating their list. It's during high usage times for cell phones, and we're going to drive shoppable ads where they can go pick up or remember to get on the list so that you can drive that conversion. We also have routine moments. You know, maybe you've got shopper who every day they go to the gym in the morning at a certain time, they stop at a coffee shop, and once a week they're making their trip to said retailer. And for us to be able to help intercept that shopper at the right moment to be able to drive conversion is exactly what we do best. Then you've got purchase moment. What are you going to do when that shopper is either on lot or they're at the checkout lane, maybe they're scrolling on their phone? You want to reach them with an ad so that they'll go pick up your product and that they'll have it in their cart for checkout. We can help with those moments. And pickup moments. Eric talked about our blueprints. This really helps set us a step above everyone else. To have insights around who are the pickup shoppers and then to be able to reach them while they're at home or during their path to purchase, this is huge. This is something nobody else can do. And we can do this well because we spent the time during the pandemic blueprinting each of these spots and knowing who's utilizing this and where else are they going before and after their trips so that we can get you on that list. And then the last little bit is those browsing moments. We know that for most shoppers, they have some sort of time during the day that they like to unplug and browse through their phone. Maybe it's a game, maybe it's, you know, an app that they like to use during certain times, but it's our job to be able to reach them on that app during those moments so that we can drive awareness of your product and ultimately conversion. What we're going to do once we have all of those moments mapped out for you, we've got the creative in place, which, by the way, our team will do creative. There is a couple minimums to that, but our team can handle all of your creative for you. And then in and during campaigns, we are going to drive and optimize in real time those visits and sales, if we've got access to POS sale data for you, to be able to drive the maximum return for you. And how we do that is by watching each individual device ID that's happening in real time. Where are the visitation patterns happening? Which audiences are those coming from? Then we're going to be able to use our highly specialized engineer team to be able to optimize towards those and allocate extra budget, and that drives performance. So at the end of this 4 to 8 week campaign, you've got maximum performance and proof that the campaign worked. Here's an example of some of our shoppable ads that are working fabulously right now. When you've got shopper at home, they're ready to engage, you need the ease of them being able to add products right away. Our shoppable ads are going to do that for you. A couple other solutions that have been unique that we've developed during the pandemic is in-stock targeting. How that works is that we've developed a solution that plugs into the back end of many of your top retailers. So for this one, we'll just give Walmart as an example. Let's say that this said almond milk has a shortage and they want to inform shoppers where it's in stock in the moment. We're going to pull those reports, and on a weekly basis, we're going to change ads and shift media to where that product is most in stock. This was really helpful during the pandemic, as you can imagine, with products like toilet paper and paper towels, fresh meat. All of those types of categories were in huge demand of a product like this, and GroundTruth answered with a solution that really drove performance. This shows our pickup lane parking lot being able to target these shoppers and just gives you that finite view. In fact, this is a store location that isn't far from Walmart's home office. And I just think that we want to make sure that you know that this is exclusive running with GroundTruth. You can utilize this both on a self-serve platform and with the managed team, but most likely this is going to be an audience if you're wanting to do business with us and drive shoppers and conversion at Walmart. This is going to be something that we include. One of the last solutions I want to talk about is brand new, because everyone's trying to measure their e-com performance. And whether that be on .com, or maybe it's on an OPD with Walmart's online pickup and delivery, or maybe it's with Target Circle pickup, you want to know how many dollars are you able to get into that cart? Because with most of these retailers, once you get into the cart, they're going to start doing the heavy lifting. They're going to start advertising to that shopper. I get these emails regularly. Rachel, you have $13 left in your Walmart cart. Would you like to add more and check out? And then in that email, it actually shows me the products I still have left in my cart, which is still advertising to me every time I get those. So for us, our job is going to be able to add the maximum amount of products during a campaign to the cart to be able to drive that e-com performance for you. And we have a solution just for that. So if you want more information about that, please reach out to shopper@groundtruth.com and we'll give you more information. Okay, now we're going to talk about a balanced strategy. So Eric, I'm going to have you hop back on and we're going to share about what it might look like to be able to utilize both. Maybe you're a brand that says, you know what, I see the value, Eric, that you shared about having the always on or evergreen approach through the platform and us being able to have hands-on keyboard. So what we really see is that when brands want to do that, that maybe they do have the always-on approach and their team is hands-on keyboard. They've got the creative done, they're plugging it in during those times. But then during your micro moments or during the key seasons that you need to really drive performance, you're going to add on a managed campaign that's going to be about 6 to 8 weeks. It's going to have a very specific KPI, whether it's driving sales or driving e-com performance. And we're going to do that at highly strategic times throughout the year. Maybe it's during your key season where you know you have to win, or maybe it's during your down season where your competitor is just killing you. But these are times that we recommend that if you used a joint strategy, that it could work for your brand. And now I'm going to pass it over to Eric. And Eric, you can share some more ideas of ways that we've done this successfully with some brands today.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rachel. And just as Rachel mentioned, there are ways we've seen success with brands who just always want to have that brand awareness on the digital shelf, and then have those special moments. It's around a specific holiday, for example, or a specific moment for a brand that is right for them, where they will come in and specifically use managed service to use those moments to really get the specified store list, to be able to get that full feedback in terms of what's worked and tracking sales lift, etc. So that's really been we've seen success there, and think that it's a great opportunity, especially too when you can use the various types of targeting tactics that we've spoken of across both as the company as a whole, and then using these specific moments to really capture not only competitors but also to be able to track overall sales and lift as well. So it's yeah, we're excited to have this, and we know we have a few questions that we'll get to in a moment too, and please feel free to add some more questions as well. But yeah, GroundTruth's a leader in the location space. We continue to evolve our offerings. We're using our technology even in COVID times now to not only create tools that you can use to identify opportunities for your clients, for you as a brand, but then also that you can use from a targeting perspective as well, which is really important. So we're excited to share any additional information that we can. We can jump in, I think, and look at a few questions. We'll see. Will GroundTruth attribution continue to work with the new Apple and ID changes? Yes, it will. We have a task force that's actually working on this now, where sometime in March, we believe, is when iOS 14 is going to take effect. But also the fact that we own and operate the app WeatherBug gives us unique insight into what the app world is going to look like and how we can navigate it. So absolutely continue to work, and as we evolve our solutions as well, and we can use third-party data purchase segments, things like that, we know that overall we're going to continue to be a really strong resource to grow brands and to grow sales. Can we narrow our target in terms of, can you target headache or migraine sufferers, for example? So the way GroundTruth is set up, is location. And so our audiences that we're building are based on either where people are or where they've been. So that's what the audiences that you find within the platform. When it comes to something, say, like a headache or migraine sufferer, that's where we could use something like third-party purchase consumers, where we can get purchase behavior from Nielsen, IRI, Catalina, and import those segments that you can target on the platform itself. And Rachel, is there anything else that you wanted to add there?
Yeah, I'll hop in there. I will say that for both, we play very heavily in the OTC category. We've also played in the prescription category before as well. And so to Eric's point, when you're looking at those audiences, there are lots of different insights that we can pull on those types of sufferers to be able to start that funnel wide. What retailer are you hoping to drive purchase at? And if it's national, it's brand, then we can name several retailers that maybe you want to pick up at Walgreens or CVS. You want to have multiple of those, because what we find is that you will drive higher purchase of your product when you call out specific retailers, even if it's a brand play and you have multiple retailers. When we're pulling shoppers of those locations, when you speak that language that you know they shop at those places and you call out the product that they could get at that retailer, it drives higher performance and conversion. So what we would recommend is top of your funnel is going to be the shoppers of those retailers, and middle of your funnel is going to be your tightened audiences. So if you've got somebody who, let's say that they're an allergy sufferer, one of the tactics that we have is we do have over 500 allergy clinics that are mapped and blueprinted. And with that, we have a radial fence around them because of the HIPAA guidelines and things like that. We can't have as tight of a radius on that, but you can use that for targeting. And then we can add purchase base to that, where maybe it's category purchasers of allergy or asthma type of products, to be able to make sure that we're getting down to those shoppers, and then to be able to advertise your product to them at the right moment, at the right time, to be able to drive conversion. So that's kind of how we do that.
And also, too, just to point out that the value with GroundTruth is using each of those individual audiences. You will get to see the performance of each individual audience that you choose, like that Rachel mentioned. So you'll be able to see not only the click-through rate, but also the visitation rate, for example, against each individual audience to know which one is performing better for you. I'll do the next one. Can the client take our slides and place our logo on them to market the services? Yes. We are often a white labeled solution that clients use for us. So, and we're happy to provide any additional information that can help in that respect. We do have segment case studies as well, and we can provide any specific ones as well. So yes, we absolutely have a variety of case studies. Rachel, did you want to take the one about in-stock?
Yeah. So I see the question about in-stock availability for dates and times on existing calendars. Yes. So for in-stock targeting, that's something that our managed team would run. And so you would come to us and say, this is the time that we want to run that. Our team is running your in-stock availability in real time. So we're shifting the media week over week. And if it requires a two pull, which means that your product's velocity is really at an unstable rate for stock, then for example, in the paper category, we may pull it several times so that we can make sure that it has weekend stock for those weekend shoppers and the higher traffic. And we will shift media accordingly. And then week over week, we can report to you the stores that we shifted media to based on those stock levels so that you have that insight into where the media ran for performance. All right. Will the managed service campaigns work with the little guys? We work with all sizes. We don't have a minimum to be able to work with us. We will say that if you're looking at an investment with a retailer, that usually around $15,000 for the managed side is the smallest budget that we've usually worked with. But on average, around $25,000 to $50,000 is your kind of baseline campaign where we can get you really specific results. And if you've got a question too, you can always shoot a note to that email that Eric mentioned, and our teams will get together. We work in tandem. We make sure that our clients are served best, and we'll help develop that strategy that's going to work best for you based on our experience, and come back and give you those proposals so that you can review them.
And just a quick point on when it comes to that as well, within the self-serve platform itself, there are no minimum spends, there are no additional fees, etc. Straightforward on a CPM basis, so no minimum spend. So you can, it's again a great way to also do a trial when working individually with managed self-service or with both.
Perfect. I see a question about in-store retail payment, which I absolutely love, because I think the experience for in-store retail payment obviously is so important to the shopper experience. And what you're asking about is being able to drive digital advertising and awareness. That's absolutely what our team has done before. I'm thinking of, before the pandemic, there was a specific coffee that had a really cute little in-store coffee bar that they set up when they were launching their product. It was done and executed amazingly. And we tacked on media to that to be able to drive maximum awareness to the store shoppers that shopped at that store, to make sure that they knew that come this week, so that they could experience the coffee themselves at the XYZ coffee bar. And for that, we were able to report back who saw the ad and then who visited store on that date during those times. So we can get that specific, and then we can also share back what did it look like in terms of visits over the next 2 weeks when we continued to drive awareness of that product, so that it created even more conversion and purchase. So those are all options, absolutely. And then Carlos, you asked another question about which calendars do you pull from, and is it a two-way sync? So it's not a two-way sync. The way that we've done it is our engineers are plugged into the back end of the retailer. So when we pull those stock level, it's by SKU, by store, so that we can shift in real time. And if you have any more questions about that, absolutely reach out to our team, and we can set up a call and share with you more information about that, so you get all of your questions answered. All right.
Great.
Any other questions?
Well, if you listen, as mentioned at the beginning too, if there are any other questions that you think of, please reach out either to individuals that you might be working with at GroundTruth, or also the alias as well. As we mentioned, we'll be providing this to everyone who attended. So thank you so much for attending, for your great questions as well. We really appreciate it. Reach out with anything else that you need and that you have, and have a fantastic 2021.
Thank you, everyone.